once again.
What is up, guys? It's Mad Rage. I'm back here, and today I'm gonna do, I believe this is the first tutorial on my channel. This is gonna be a tree tutorial, how to make custom trees like these, although a better example would be this one here. Let me get a good shot of that. So I don't think how to make this sort of exact tree will be able to do in this tutorial, if that made any sense, because I didn't do this tree. I think Jademan did, but using the same sort of aspects, how to create nice looking leaves and such. So first thing you want to do is get sort of an inventory like mine, which I should probably edit a sort of pan zoom into my hotbar right now. This will require Voxel Sniper and World Edit. If you don't have them, then you'll have to get them. Quite self-explanatory, but on most creator servers you will be able to get Voxel Sniper and or World Edit. So I'm just going to demonstrate in the small area here, or of course with my sort of setup. There's a few variables. You can change what the tree's going to be made out of, what the leaves are like, and you can change the shape of it, but I'm going to go with a generic sort of apple tree sort of look. This is going to be a fairly small one, but first you want to do is mark out where you want the tree to slope. I never tend to do pointing straight up trees unless they're pine trees, but that's like a whole sort of other subject. You want to type in the command /up1. This will create a glass block, 1 block above where you're standing, and this will mark off where we want the root. And I'm going to fly up a reasonable amount and do the same command like this. And to fill this in, you want to type in /b space L. This is the Voxel line brush, and it simply connects 2 points together with your arrow and gunpowder, and /v and then a space sets your voxel, which is the block you're going to do the brush or execute the command and with what sort of block you select. So for this I'm going to do 17, which is the ID for logs, and you want to right click on this glass block with the arrow, and then for your second point right click it with the gunpowder. And I think this is lagging just a teeny bit. Alright guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was really strange. My internet had my computer had an IP conflict with another sort of computer, and I wasn't sure what it did, so I turned my internet back on and off. And now that seems to be working, so I was going to carry on as I were. B space D is the Voxel disc brush. I'm just going to give you a rough sort of guideline. This will create, also I forgot to mention, the /b space and then your number is the Voxel size, not snize, I don't know what the hell snize is. And if you click that, it will give you a 3 block radius from the center, which I don't really want a free one, so I think I'll go /b space 2. This will give me a brush which is a radius of 2. This will create a nice sort of guideline for the sort of natural curve you want in a tree. And because this is a fairly small tree, believe it or not, it's best to just do it by hand. Any sort of using Voxel Sniper in any sort of way will probably destroy the majority of the terrain around it, unless you use the matte modifier, which I think I can leave that to another episode, because that's when you're starting to get to performers, which edits your selection of brush, or yeah, I don't really want to explain it here. I'll leave that to another time. Alright, so the basics of creating a tree slope is basically never having things like that, if you know what I mean. And any unnatural curves, like this is a very unnatural curve in a tree. You wouldn't have this and that and pointing out unless this was the sort of trunk and this was a branch coming out. In that case you would do that. But yeah, try not to do any sort of unnatural curves, because that will really bring away the immersion from the build and the atmosphere as well. So if you have your 2 discs, you basically want to build up, like if you have the disc like this, you would use the guideline here to then like go down a few blocks, and tend to keep this middle one going down the most, and then these ones sort of filling in the edges almost. You don't want to detail it too much with at the top, since that's going to be just extending out with branches anyway, but you have to always look at the tree from different angles to see if you've got that nice curve, and you don't really want any sort of square shapes in nature like this. So I was a bit wrong earlier to say to just go down, because in the end result you want it to look as natural as possible, and if the branch is coming out like that, you're not going to have the branch just having another sphere, or should I say cylinder, that just goes down, because then it really doesn't look natural. So you want to keep this curve nice and natural. That's probably key point number 1, if there ever was a number 2. I'm sure I'll get to that later. And this is the sort of natural curve you should look for. So if you just keep on tweaking this around, the trees don't be too put off if they take a while, because it's all about getting that sort of natural look, and you always want to look from different angles to see if it looks alright from this angle, or if it looks right from this angle. As long as it looks good from down here, if you're building it for a map, then it's fine. Alright, so I think I've got the right sort of curve. I probably would spend a bit longer tweaking it to make things look better, but the next step is to create the branches. So for this I'm going to do /up1 like before to create the glass block, and basically do this like scattered around in the same sort of radius every time, and maybe go up or down a block or 2 just to vary the sort of, because there's no straight lines in nature in real life, but this is Minecraft, but you don't really want to use many straight lines anyway. Alright, so when you've got this, the next step is to use your BL Voxel line brush again. You want to right click on this glass block, then right click to this trunk, and do this with all the branches, or should I say glass blocks, at this state, but these are basically the branches. Alright, with these branches, they might look a bit unnatural coming out, so you want to thicken them up a bit where they sort of come out. Don't worry if the sideways logs stick out later, we will fix that by using the 6-sided log, which is a neat sort of trick in Minecraft where you can make your trees look probably 10 times better, because no one likes to see logs pointing out like this. At least most people don't, but it's quite obvious that they look better because you wouldn't really see the inside of a tree when it's not actually inside, it's on the outside. Right, so I've got the right sort of shape, and the ID for leaves, let me check. Right, so the ID for no decay leaves is 18:4, but to make this any use, what you want to do is just, with any sort of random tool, I chose a diamond pickaxe in this case. You need tools to equip a brush to the tool to bind the what's the word? Binding a command to a tool. So you would do / brush space sphere space, and then from there you would do the ID, and for this is 18:4, and then the size, I'm gonna stick with a 2 size brush, because any bigger I don't think you end up with 2 bubbly trees, which aren't very desirable. So with this, you don't want to immediately start click, because I will now demonstrate. It will just do this, and you know what? I actually forgot to do the good sort of tip that I was gonna do, you do 30% of 18:4 and then 70% air. This will give a tree a much more rustic look, and then I'm gonna say so this looks so much more better if the branch is still there, of course, but we'll come to that later, than just some sort of sphere that looks like a bubble, because most trees, unless they've been well groomed, if that's the correct word, groomed, I don't think you can groom trees, but it looks more natural and nice. Imagine that if it's just like a ball, it'll look silly. Alright, so next we're going to do is /G mask, no spaces, and then space air, and this will make sure that you only edit the air blocks, because if you start breaking houses, things get a bit annoying. So you just want to, I tend to do the first click on each end of the branch, like so. And then once you've got this, it's basically building upon this, going down the branch, and just having a few clicks on each branch, and then until you have these like these branches, they're covered in leaves, but then you want to create a more curved look, so you would have a few clicks in between the gaps of each branches, just making sure that you don't over click, otherwise it will look very out of proportion, your tree. I'm speaking like Yoda. Alright, so you want to have a few clicks on top as well to give it a more so it looks less flat. Right, so then you've got this shape, but then it looks kind of a bit flat and mushroom like, which is not really what you want in an apple tree. Also, this is a fairly small tree, but the same thing still applies to bigger ones, but it is difficult doing bigger ones. That's what she said. No sexual pun intended, but there we go. I could do it on god trees, which you might have seen on other maps that are basically giant trees that are mainly the center point of any sort of big map. And if they're not, then they're just there for good decoration. Right, so this is the complete look. You can stop here if you want and just say this is a nice tree, and you know what, it is, but there's always ways to improve it, like getting rid of these bits here. And one neat feature is, instead of adding vines to trees, just add a few of like these dangly leaves at the edges, and just don't like keep these the same length. You know what, I'm gonna bring this all the way down and have it like sort of curl off here, and pretend I've done this on the other side. But alright, so I would normally do /pos1 there, /pos2 there, but then you'll also edit these log blocks in the houses, so to make sure that you're only editing the blocks in this area, you'll want to get your diamond pickaxe once again. Also, here's a neat tip that I don't think many people know. You do /none whilst holding your tool that you've binded a command to, and that then just makes it a normal tool again, so then you won't misfire, because I've done it a few times. So you want to do /brush sphere 17:12, which is the 6-sided log, and then I'm gonna do a brush up to it again and do /G mask 17. For this time we are only editing these wood blocks, and you wanna just, it's quite self-explanatory, just go over these bits here, and they should become 6-sided logs. Alright, so this is the end of my tree tutorial, and I believe it is the first tutorial I've done on my channel. Leave a like if you have not already, and subscribe if you find these tutorials helpful, or the forthcoming tutorial should I say. You'll get a notification every time I do a tutorial. I hope you learn a bit from this tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.